I am Mark Neil A. Camacho from 12 STEM St. Priscilla, and this will be my take on the cell analogy video. In this video, I will be comparing cell analogy to the recently booming game called Genshin Impact. But first, let me give a quick rundown on what Genshin Impact is. Genshin Impact is an action role-playing game developed and published by MiHoYo. The game features an anime-style open-world environment and an action-based battle system. The game is free to play and is monetized through gacha game mechanics. Genshin Impact takes place in the fantasy world of Teyvat, which is home to 7 distinct nations, each of which is tied to a different element, and ruled by a different god. The story follows the traveler who has traveled across countless worlds with their twin sibling before becoming separated in Teyvat. The traveler travels in the search of their lost sibling with their companion, Paimon, all the while becoming involved in the affairs of Teyvat's nations. And as to why I compared this game to the cell analogy, well, it's because I played this game personally, and it was the first thing that came to my mind after hearing the details of making this video. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this topic. The cell wall, and I will be comparing it to Inazuma's storm cloud barrier, because in order to secure the nation of Inazuma's eternity and ease her anxiety for the possibilities of its demise, the Electro Archon, or god, Baal, created a wall of storms. It surrounds Inazuma in a massive storm to act as a barrier for foreigners and outside influences, like how a plant cell will have a cell wall as its first line of defense and also an additional layer of protection. The cell membrane would be Inazuma's border checkpoint. There are times where the Electro Archon allows foreigners to enter her land of eternity. That is for imported products from other nations and engaging in minor trade. And there are also times where people manage to break through the wall of storms and live to enter Inazuma, like the Crux fleet and the Fatui. That is where the border checkpoint comes in. They weed out the ones with bad intentions, like the Fatui, and send people back home if their only intention in Inazuma is to sightsee. They are stationed in every corner and island of Inazuma, like how the cell membrane surrounds the cell to selectively screen the kinds of substances that go in and out of the cell. The cytoplasm would be the seeds of Inazuma. Since the cytoplasm is found inside the cell membrane surrounding the nucleus, and it's where most life processes occur, I would compare it to the whole body of water surrounding the isolated country. Since it is where most of the people in Inazuma fish to make a living, it also holds all islands in place and makes sure they don't move, just like how the cytoplasm makes sure all organelles are intact and safe. The nucleus would be the Archons. They are gods and founders of each nation in Teyvat. They are beings of immense strength and a long history dating back to the formation of Teyvat. They wrote the history of their founded nations and guide their respective subjects in the backlines for eons and give visions to people worthy of their blessings. They are the reason why nations like Liyue prosper, and they are under the guidance of the Geo Archon Rex Lapis. And just like Rex Lapis, Baal, the Electro Archon, guides her people to achieve the eternity she visioned for her nation. She resides in Inazuma City's Tenshukaku that also acts as her first line of defense, just like how the nuclear envelope would be a layer of protection for the nucleus, and like how the nucleus stores the cell's hereditary DNA and controls cellular activities like growth, metabolism, protein synthesis, and reproduction. It also controls all activities of the cell, and it contains DNA, which contains the hereditary materials of the organism transmitted from one generation to another. The mitochondrion would be the golden house. It is a place where the Geo Archon utilizes his powers to create Mora. It is the universally accepted form of currency across Teyvat. It is also used for crafting, making potions, merging artifacts, and creating gadgets. Almost like how the mitochondrion is the site of cellular respiration and the production of ATP energy molecules, because it converts food molecules into energy. The energy produced is important for the vital activities of the cell, such as growth and reproduction. The endoplasmic reticulum would be the ley lines. Ley lines are a mysterious network that links the whole world together, within which flows the elements. It is said that the roots of all the petrified trees in the world are intertwined at the deepest, most hidden place in Earth, and that the pattern the root system makes defines the ley lines of the world. Teyvat is a world ruled by elements and people with visions can manipulate them. Goods like artifacts, knowledge tomes, and mora are distributed across Teyvat through the ley lines. They function just like the endoplasmic reticulum, as it is a network of membranous tubules that transport the materials needed by the cell, like nutrients, enzymes, hormones, and more. It is a membranous system of interconnected tubules which served as the transport system of the cell. Now, the Golgi bodies could be the leyline blossoms. Leyline blossoms are the glowing flowers that sorts out mora and knowledge tomes that come from the ley lines themselves and are sent and contained in specific parts of Teyvat, while the artifacts, which is also supplied by the ley lines, are going to the domains. When opening and revitalizing one, they shrivel up and return back to the earth and a new one takes its place not too far from the initial area. Similarly, Golgi bodies consists of stacks of flattened sacs called cisternae that receive proteins and fats from the rough endoplasmic reticulum for processing or packing into sealed droplets called vesicles that will then be stored and distributed to the other parts of the cell. I would compare the vacuole to the traveler's treasury. It is where all items obtained on your journey through Teyvat. It can store food, mob drops, weapons, artifacts, and it is also the only place where you can discard items you don't need. Like how the vacuole is an enclosed sac for storing essential materials while disposing of poisonous or harmful wastes. The lysosome would be the Knights of Avonius headquarters. The Knights of Avonius is the order of knights that protects Mondstadt, founded by Vanessa with the help of Barbatos 1,000 years ago, to prevent aristocrats from ruling the land, as Barbatos originally intended. The knights act as the lawmen of Mondstadt, keeping its citizens safe and creating and upholding laws for all. Modern-day Mondstadt is much more peaceful than it was when the Lawrence clan aristocrats were running the city. Most of the time, they do community jobs like cleaning the streets or finding lost kittens. I would compare them to the lysosomes because it is an organelle that is responsible for intracellular digestion with the help of hydrolytic enzymes stored in its membranes that are powerful enough to break down macromolecules. They also destroy bacteria and other microorganisms that invade the cell.
Yeah.
Ribosomes would be the alchemy stations. It is a station where it processes different materials that can be turned into different materials or merge and enhance them into greater materials. It can also be used to craft different items and gadgets. It is almost akin to the ribosomes because it is involved in the production of proteins, a process called protein synthesis. It is known as to be the site for protein synthesis, and it is called a large enzyme because it anabolically synthesizes protein. And that's the last of it. So this is my take on the cell analogy video, and I hope someone out there learned something new with this video.